this video, I'm going to try to get my CAT-01 rating in PilotEdge. On the PilotEdge network, there are these ratings, or basically tests that you can take when you're in the simulator and connected to the network to demonstrate different levels of radio proficiency. And most of them involve talking to air traffic control, and they're actually graded by the controllers that you interact with. But this first one is simpler. You're just going from a non-towered airport to another non-towered airport. And so it's not going to involve talking to air traffic control, but it will still involve using the radio and potentially interacting with other aircraft. Specifically, we're going to be going from Oceano Airport, which is Lima 52 here on the California coast, and make our way inland to Nukuyama Airport, Lima 88. And our goal is going to be to take off from Oceano here and do all the right radio calls on the CTAF, which is the local broadcast frequency, and then navigate our way over here to Nukuyama and make all the right radio calls on this end and successfully land. And if we do all of that, then we can get our certification for CAT-01 and then move on to the more advanced ones. In order for us to get graded on this, we actually need to file a flight plan with PilotEdge, which is not something that I've done before. And so we're going to have to fill out all this information. But I can't really fill that out until I have a plan, so let's go make the plan. Okay, so here in SkyVector, let's search for Lima 52. Here we see Oceano Airport, and off to the east we see Nukuyama. And I'm going to be flying in a Cessna 152 that doesn't have GPS, so we also have to figure out how I'm going to navigate my way there. Now I know that Nukuyama is in this nice little valley here, and if I can make my way from Oceano to the mouth of this valley, then it's distinctive enough that I can basically follow this down, and getting to the airport will be easy. But there are a bunch of other valleys here, and if I get off course on the way here, I might end up getting lost and not find my way. So I need to have some way to reliably at least get to the beginning of this valley. And luckily we have a VOR here, the Fellows VOR 117.5, that is kind of perfect for our purposes, because if we take off from Oceano here and we track that VOR inbound, it's going to take us right to the opening of the valley. And then we can turn and make our way visually the rest of the way. The next thing I need is, when I'm traveling down here, I need to know when I'm about 10 nautical miles away from Nukuyama, because that's when I'm supposed to call into the CTAF. And so I need some kind of landmark that tells me when I'm there. And I know that this is around 10 nautical miles here. And that's actually on the 165 radial from this VOR. So my plan is actually to use this VOR for two purposes. First, I'm going to use it to track inbound to get to the valley. And then I'm going to switch to the 165 radial, so that as I'm flying down here on the instruments, I'll see when I pass that radial, and that's when I know I need to make my call. Next thing we need to figure out is which runway we're going to use. There's runway 11 here, which is a right pattern as we see, and that's thus to the south. It goes around this way. And then there's also runway 29er in the opposite direction. That's left traffic pattern, and so that is also to the south this way. And I don't know which of these I'm going to use, because that depends on the prevailing winds. So my plan is, as I enter the valley here, since that's about 20 miles away, I can tune into the CTAF and listen for a bit. If I hear any aircraft, I'll just use whatever runway they're using. And if there aren't any aircraft, then I'm going to make my way north here, cross over the airfield at 500 feet above traffic pattern, get eyes on the windsock, and the windsock will tell me which runway is favored. And then I know whether I need to turn left or right in order to make my way into the traffic pattern. Next, we need to figure out altitudes. We see here 5,300, 5,500. Down here, there's 7,200 feet. It's not as high as that in the area that we're going to be flying, but there's also the rule, if we're flying to the east VFR, then we need something that's an odd number of 1,000 feet plus 500. And so 7,500 feet is basically the thing that makes sense here. And in a Cessna 152, we can maintain about 100 knots. And so we can see here 32 minutes is what SkyVector is estimating for this flight. And so now I think we have all the information that we need. If we go back to our flight plan here for PilotEdge, we can fill this in. Okay, so we're going to be VFR. November 15668 is the call sign that I've been using. It's a Cessna 152, and we can pick the equipment that we have on there. As we saw, 100 knots is the airspeed. Lima 52 is where we're starting, and Lima 88 is where we're ending. Cruise altitude of 7,500. And the rest of this is optional, except for here we have to tell it that we're doing a rating flight. We're seeking the CAT-01. And so now this is all set. If I click this, this is going to file the flight plan, and then we'll hop in the simulator, connect to the network, and we can start on this mission. Alright, so here we are in the Cessna 152 at Oceano Airport, and we're here at parking. And you can see from the windsock there, it's a very windy day, and the wind very clearly favors runway 29er. So we're going to be taking off from left to right here. We're going to have to taxi there across the runway before we can make it, before we can prepare for our departure. And I have a couple more things to do before we can get going. I have right now the 122.7 is the CTAF for Oceano, and then here on standby I have 122.9, which is the CTAF for Nukuyama. But I also am just going to dial in the VOR 117.5, and we can see immediately that we're actually getting signal from that. I'm not going to bother tuning that, like setting the heading on that until we're up in the air, but that's ready to go. So we are on 122.7 and we are ready to get going. Oceano traffic, Cessna 15668 is taxiing from hangars to runway 29er, Oceana. So let's go ahead and get moving. There's not much taxiing to actually do here before we need to make our next call. Directions, make sure it's clear. I haven't heard anybody on the CTAF here, so I think we're on our own here. Oceana traffic, Cessna 15668 is taxiing across runway 29er from north to south, Oceana. Oceana traffic, Cessna 15668 is clear of the runway, Oceana. Oceana traffic, Cessna 15668 is departing runway 29er and will depart the pattern to the south, Oceana. Flaps, and let's go. Very windy. Rotate. Oceana traffic, Cessna 15668 is departing the pattern to the south, Oceana. There you can see the airfield down there. We're well above traffic pattern altitude as we're heading to the east now. So I'm going to go ahead and get settled into this climb. We're climbing up to 7,500 feet. And on the way there, why don't we go ahead and set up the tracking for the VOR. So right now we just want to track it inbound. So what we can do is we can just tune this until we have a 2 indication and we're on there, and so that tells us that a heading of 70 is going to get us there. So we'll follow this for a while as we climb up to 7,500 feet. crossing 6,000 feet, still on course. Everything's still good, it's pretty smooth up here. Okay, so we're approaching 7,500 feet now. So in a moment we're going to level off, reduce throttle, level off, and take stock of where we're at. Alright, so we're cruising here at 7,500 feet, and this is the valley in front of us here that we've been talking about. So that's what I've been calling the entrance to the valley, and it heads down there to the Nukuyama Airport, which is right at the transition between the green and the brown. And the VOR that we've been tracking, the Fellows VOR, is in those hills somewhere. So once we get into this opening of this valley, we're going to switch to the Nukuyama CTAF and switch it over to the 165 radial and make our way down that valley. Alright, we're still at 7,500 feet, and we're close enough to the beginning of this valley. Why don't we go ahead and switch over to the Nukuyama CTAF, which is 122.9. See if we can hear any activity there. And while we're at it, why don't we switch this to the 165 radial. And so now at some point when we see this line move from right to left and cross over here, that's when we know we're at 10 nautical miles and we should call into the CTAF. Alright, I've been listening for a few minutes and I have not heard a single plane on this common frequency, so I'm going to assume for now that there aren't any other aircraft there. And when I've flown this field in the past, the wind, it's 50-50 whether it's favoring one runway or the other, so I really would like to overfly the field, get eyes on the windsock, and figure out which runway we should be using. So unless I start to hear from other aircraft, that's my plan. Alright, so I've started my descent, and we're now at like 6,700 feet, and that's the town of Nukuyama, and the airfield is somewhere around there. My prediction is that as I pass these white hills here, that's going to be about the 10-mile mark, but we're just going to keep an eye on this, and once this starts moving to the right, we know we're getting close. The needle's starting to move here. We're getting pretty close to those white hills, and any moment now it's going to be time for us to make our call. Watching that needle. Nukuyama traffic, Cessna 15668 is 10 miles west inbound, descending through 5,000 feet. I'm planning to cross the runway north to south at 3,500 feet to get eyes on the windsock, Nukuyama. Alright, there's the runway there, and so I'm going to start my turn and call in that I'm about to cross over the airfield at 3,700 feet. Nukuyama traffic, Cessna 15668 is just north of the airfield. I'm going to cross from north to south, that's 3,700 feet, to get eyes on the windsock, Nukuyama. Let's see. There's the windsock. It is going to the west, so it is definitely favoring runway 11, which is right traffic. So we want to be landing from right to left in our view right now, which means the traffic pattern is going to be going left to right. And so I need to turn left to enter that right traffic pattern. Okay, so we can start descending. Nukuyama traffic, Cessna 15668 is joining the 45 for the right downwind for runway 11, Nukuyama. Alright, so this is traffic pattern altitude, 3,200 feet. Nukuyama traffic, Cessna 15668 is on the right downwind for runway 11, Nukuyama. Lost a bit of altitude here, let me get that back. Alright, that's about 45 degrees. Nukuyama, Cessna 15668 is turning right base for runway 11, Nukuyama. Nukuyama, Cessna 15668 is turning final for runway 11, Nukuyama. Crosswind there. Alright, a little rough, but not terrible. And now we need to back taxi. Nukuyama, Cessna 15668 is back taxiing runway 11 to the hangars. Nukuyama traffic, Cessna 15668 is clear of the runway. Alright. Well, we made it. So let's go ahead and shut down. Alright, we made it to Nukuyama, and so now all that's left to do, we're supposed to wait for 2 minutes in the simulator here to make sure that it acknowledges that we got here, and then I'm going to hop out and fill out the appropriate form. All right, so if we go back here to the description of this CAT-01 test, the instructions tell us go to PE Aware and check for your call sign and verify that the flight status shows as arrived. All right, it says here status arrived. We can see here the course that we took. That seems about right. And so now enter your tail number into the CAT-01 claim form. So call sign used, November 15668. Congratulations, you have been granted the CAT-01 rating and may now proceed to the CAT-2. Excellent. Well, that was fun. Thank you for joining me on that.